Headlines. Randy Orton's return date is set. What is Zack Ryder's real WWE status? Dominik Mysterio getting heat. Nia Jax to the Bloodline and more. First up, we have an update on the Viper. To the Wrestling Observer, well, Randy Orton is returning soon because he is being advertised for an upcoming episode of SmackDown on December 5th in Austin, Texas. Orton, he has been off the television for a while, but an advertisement for a specific upcoming show isn't clear sign yet that his return is imminent. And this would be after War Games, aka Survivor Series, which makes sense. There's no reason that rushing on TV. And now to get the build going, to get the anticipation, I would expect them to run some vignettes perhaps, or maybe they'll just do a random return for him, but it's a guy that is ready to go. He's a guy that they should use, especially on that SmackDown side. I would expect January at nice for turn. I would see to it. Bring a lot to the product. Zack Ryder, following his surprise return on Friday Night SmackDown, has been on speculation status. Well, Fightful Select has provided an update. According to their report, Ryder is not currently signed to a WWE contract. His appearance was, at least for now, a one-off. However, the report notes that the door is not closed for a future return. In a positive sign, Ryder does have a merchandise deal in place with the company, which is often a good step. So while he isn't quote-unquote eligible as signed yet, it got back on WWE's radar. It was a nice return. It was a nice moment for him. And I know a lot of people were criticizing WWE for, well, why wouldn't you go with Matt Cardona in the past? Using on the independents. And it just comes down to they own the Zack Ryder name. They own the name. Zack Ryder has history with John Cena in the tournament. Go. Start D'Angelo coming back because he's been backstage at a recent NXT event. Look, over in NXT, a familiar name was spotted back at the Performance Center because according to Fightful Select, Tony D'Angelo was backstage at NXT on the November 11th show. Now, look, this is significant because reportedly, for the very first time, this was the first time that the dawn of NXT has been spotted at the PC in months. Now, look, it's still unclear what his exact status is moving forward, but having him back in the building is the first major step towards seeing him back on TV. I thought he did an outstanding job on TV with this character. He was very, very entertaining in NXT. Obviously, this character, it has a ceiling, and I think it actually does have a shelf life because I think there's only so much you can do on it. But what he's been able to do, at least down in NXT, is fun. I don't think it will translate well to the main roster, but I hope I'm wrong. Nia Jax going to the Bloodline. Look, ever since Bloodline formed, one question has lingered. With all the potential out of a Bloodline, would a woman ever join the faction? Well, Nia Jax was recently asked about that very possibility, and she did so while speaking on the Happy Hour, and she confirmed that the idea of her joining the Bloodline has definitely been talked about. She said the reason it's not happened yet is because it has to be the right timing. Now, look, the good news for fans who want to see this, Nia said that the answer is never a no on it possibly happening in the future. With the Bloodline in the state of flux, adding Nia Jax would certainly help things. Look, I think the Bloodline storyline has been run down to the point where they're not even going by the Bloodline name. They're going by the MFT name. I have no interest in seeing the Bloodline come back with Roman and the Usos. I don't want to see any of that. I'm just not a fan of it, right? I'm just not a fan of it. Dominik Mysterio getting backstage heat. He might be one of the most effective heels in the company, but it doesn't sound like Dominik's on-screen antics are getting him some real-life heat. Now, speaking on the Towers of Power podcast, Dirty Dom admitted himself that he's gotten some talk tos backstage because of his heel work. He specifically mentioned the time that he appeared to spit on Dragon Lee, claiming the interview it was actually just gum. He also mentioned getting in trouble for doing some snot rockets in the corner during commercial breaks. It just goes to show that Dominik Mysterio is so committed to being a heel that he's even getting on the nerves of people backstage behind the curtain. Look, in my opinion, he's probably either the number 1 or number 2 top heel in all of pro wrestling. And I mean that. I seriously consider him being up there with MJF. He just knows how to get under people's skin, and he's a natural heel. It's just really a work of art to see him go out there and perform. And finally, TNA in talks with AMC. Look, we have a huge update on TNA's search for a new television partner because according to a new report from the Takedown on SI, John Alba, AMC, rather not TMC, AMC has come out as a legitimate candidate to land TNA in a new television deal. Yes, that AMC, the home of Walking Dead and Breaking Bad and everything like that. A move to a major basic cable network like AMC would be a massive development for TNA, putting them in far more homes than their current deal on Access. Now, this story that is clearly developing is a good sign for TNA that they are looking to secure their future. And it's at a time in which we have a ton of talent in TNA that can really go out there and work. So I'm very curious to see how everything shakes out for TNA going forward and in the landscape of pro wrestling.